And so one thing I've kind of shifted to, Noah, is instead of going to the listing appointment and interviewing for the job, I'm going to a listing appointment with the expectation of having the job.
Yeah.
So that confidence, I think, for she and I, riffing off each other and tag teaming has been very good. It's translated to getting people to wet sign and leaving with everything signed.
Yeah. Hi everybody, welcome back to another Workout Wednesday. Well, thank you for joining us for another week. We have a very special guest for our Avondale office, the Gilman Group. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you. Hi.
Glad to have y'all on. Before we get into today's topic, I want to learn more a little bit about y'all. How did y'all get your start in real estate? And then ultimately, how did y'all decide to become a team? Did y'all start out individually or has it always been a team?
Well, I'll go first. I started first. And I think, so I'll go back to how I started in real estate. My husband has a real estate development company. So our family was in real estate already for about 30 years. And on the weekends, I was at home with kids.
Yeah.
And on the weekends, I would go up to the office because he was the builder developer. It was pretty easy for me to do that. And I loved it. And I was very successful at it. Even though we were the builder, they came to us working with the people. It was a lot of fun for me. I enjoyed it. So then once my kids became older and more independent and didn't really need me at home anymore, I thought, Aubrey and I had always talked about real estate together, or independent, not of each other, independent of each other. We just always talked about it together.
Yeah.
And so I decided to get my license in 2019, and off I went. Well, then I was Rookie of the Year that year, so I was really busy. So once I started, I got really busy, and then Aubrey had a baby the following year, and she had a very high pressure job, and so
off it kind of started. So like she said, we kind of always talked about it. I remember way back when we were building our own house in Georgia, like looking at all of the floor plans and helping like pick, which layout the house we would do and we should shift this around. And I think like a lot of people like to browse, Zillow and that sort of thing. So putting all those pieces together, and then I worked in finance before, and it was a really high pressure job. I had just had a baby. I called my mom to vent, of course, and she was like, what do you think about getting a real estate license and helping me out a little bit? And I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I was jumping off a cliff. But we teamed at that point after I got my license, and
it's very brave, but she did it.
That's how we got started. So
It's a very brave leap.
Yeah.
For past few weeks, we've been discussing a lot about listing appointments. Specifically this week, we're going to be talking about the follow-up afterwards. So after a listing appointment, what's y'all's main objectives for that certain period of time following a listing appointment?
Well, I'll go first, I guess. So we've been very busy with listings, fortunately, lately. And so one thing I've kind of shifted to, Noah, is instead of going to the listing appointment and interviewing for the job, I'm going to a listing appointment with the expectation of having the job.
Yeah.
So that confidence, I think, for she and I, riffing off each other and tag teaming has been very good. It's translated to getting people to wet sign and leaving with everything signed.
Yeah.
And if we don't, and you have to read the room, your audience sometimes is not ready, we're able to send over documents immediately and have them sign pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I think that's what, for me, I feel like we've been going with the expectation of having the job. We're not interviewing for the job. And that confidence you bring with you translates. Because I think that's what your customer wants, to feel like you can get the job done for me and you're looking out for me, and that's the expectation.
Yeah, I would echo the same thing, and I think it's going to be fluid and different for every seller depending on their timeline and their style. Sometimes it's just communication style. So whether that follow-up looks like, having had documents already signed, or maybe they're an e-sign pro, or if they, want a text, just kind of outlining everything we talked about, and maybe there's some things they need to do to get the house ready. Maybe we're already helping facilitate those jobs for them. So for example, like getting a microwave fixed, I'd send an email out and post it on the network and kind of bring in the whole team, right? And let them know that we're doing that. So
what does that like immediate 24 hours look like? Like, I mean, almost as soon as y'all leave, what's that game plan going on in your head of like, I gotta get this done. Even if they have signed, we can take it that route. If they have signed with y'all, because y'all have that mindset change of you're getting that job. So what's the immediate 24 hours following?
Well, this just happened to us because we've been over the last few days very busy with that, as I said, where you basically thank them for the time and tell them how excited you are about the prospect of selling their property. And that's actually happened to us in the last probably 48 to 96 hours, I'd say. It literally has
this
just
has been our
happened
whole
to us.
past week.
Of just 4 or 5 listings, boom, 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 and people. I think that's the easiest touch. It's a light touch. It's no low pressure, but they've signed, or they're anticipating signing, and just thank them for their time and tell them how excited you are, and they're excited too.
And whether or not it's her client or my client, we treat everybody as one, but we like to all kind of stay, on the same group text or email threads. We like to, help each other out, be in the loop on everything. So whether that's starting a group text message and saying,
that's very helpful.
Introducing each other to the client, even if we've never met in person, like, hey, here's my right hand. And then scheduling, next steps, whether that they're ready to go with photography, staging, those sorts of things. We just kind of start building a calendar.
Awesome. So on staging, how are y'all personalizing your strategies such as marketing, pricing, staging to best meet those objectives that y'all have talked about in this listing appointment?
Well, I think you have to, again, meet your audience where they're at. Some people, I approach pretty much every listing, if it's not staged, staging companies exist for a reason, but not everybody's prepared to do that. There's a few different options. You could do it before or after. I think it depends on the client. If they have a lot of stuff in the house, I tend to tell people that, it's an onion, you need to peel it back because people buy space, not stuff. It's 100% true. And people want to see their stuff. And for instance, if a closet's over full, people will translate very often that they cannot fit their stuff in the closet because, look, your stuff doesn't fit in the closet. So we try to go that route as far as preparing a property, if that's what you mean. But staging is expensive for a lot of people, and so I don't think most properties don't really need it, but sometimes we can help them stage their own stuff by just telling them clear it out, declutter. It's an onion. Decluttering
and kind of setting that game plan again with them. I think with if they're moving to their next home, if they have family they're moving in with, maybe they can stash some things there, and then we can use their things to stage. Again, it's really personal. So it just depends.
Laura had a collection of Beanie Babies, and so she decorated with Beanie Babies, and although they're adorable, there's
not
stuff.
our advice. Typically.
So we have to, sometimes you have to be a little real with people and tell them necessarily, not always what they, in a gentle way, what they, maybe not exactly what they want to hear, but in a way, you could do it kindly. Just get all your crap out of here.
And I think sometimes they probably already know, they just may need to hear it from a professional. And, we're not reinventing the wheel, right? Like, I'm not going to claim that we do anything that's that out of the ordinary probably than, what another agent may suggest. But the way in which you say it and the way in which you can be there for that client is probably going to make all the difference. So, whether that's marketing, pricing, it's going to just vary. We're just trying to help.
Back on kind of like the reassurance part of everything, what are you doing to reassure your seller that they have made the right choice in choosing you as y'all's agents?
I'll start with this. So I like to not, set a listing and forget it. I like to periodically check in. I set calendar updates for everything, even for myself. I like to check in with clients, whether it's a week, 30 days, however long, it's taking to sell that particular listing. I let my clients know I'm always available, but if there is a timeline and, there's different statistics I can share with them, there's different new listings that are coming up that maybe are a competition, I like to just keep them really well aware of what's happening. That way, it's not just lingering out there and they have no idea what's going on in the market and, no idea what I'm doing on my end to help sell it. So if there's anything I can speak to about the market or what I'm doing personally to sell it, whether it's open houses, making different contacts. Hey, I had, 10 calls on your property today. It's really busy. They won't know any of that stuff unless you're transparent. So I think just frequent check-ins is a big thing.
So are you talking specifically about once you've listed the property to reassure them that that they've picked the right agent?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think going back to something as simple as a text thread where you're communicating what's happening, which is basically what you're saying. You're not even into contract yet. You're just getting the property ready. I think that sort of communication, today we were talking about asking someone to do a 4-point pre-inspection. I think that's an important kind of thing to help people with the confidence that, you know how to get the property ready, therefore sell the property. I think it's so tough with listings too. And I think every agent who will listen to this will probably understand this, that it's also too with listings not giving away your information and all your acumen for free, because we have people will say, come over, can you come over and tell me what you think about my property, and I'm actually thinking about trying to sell it for sale by owner, but it probably won't work, so I'm going to have you list it for me, but they want you to come over and do it. It's like you kind of got to know your worth and tell people. So I mean it's a you want to be confident. I mean I think you're talking specifically once they've signed with you and they've through, I think, just communication with people. I do hear universally that people think, as a broad stroke, that realtors don't communicate and they show up to the closing table. I've heard that before in my life, before even pre-realtor days. I think it's a mistake to do that, and it's what gives a bad name. But I think communicating, not over communicating. I mean, you don't want to ding 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 your phone's blowing up and annoy people.
Yeah, we don't share a lot of the nitty gritty details that I'm sure we wish we could share if we were very transparent.
You have no idea what we're going through.
Yeah. But we have to kind of step back and realize that this is probably more emotional and tough for our client than it is for us. So we'll field all of the crazy things that came up and the emotional parts, and we can be the therapist. But I think that open communication from contract to close is everything.
Absolutely. What about following closing? What are y'all doing to continue the relationship with your seller?
So we just, as I said, we got new photos done, and I think it's something we kind of decided that we were going to do maybe annually, come up with new photos, because I'm using this, I don't even know if this is a real person, but Flo Bliss, you see her picture, she's out there, and then you see her in person and she's 95 years old, and you're like, that doesn't look like the same person. And we have some examples of that. I have photos that I don't love from several years ago, and so I'm like, I wanted to do a magazine, a tabletop magazine that went out to clients. So we picked 50 clients that it went to, friends and clients, just sphere of influence, all that kind of stuff. And that's a big one. And so last night someone said, look what I got in the mail. And it was a Welcome Home magazine that had recipes, and that is one example, but that's a really good one, because it's a magazine that they're like, oh my God, it's so awesome. The recipes are great. And it just keeps you top of mind. And it's something that, you're probably not going to throw it in the trash can, I hope.
We'll see. It's new.
It sprinkles pictures in there.
We'll go to sell listing and it's in the trash.
Right.
Hey, they called us, so it's okay.
It's not going to stay on the coffee table for a long time, but it might be like Mint Magazine. It hangs around for a little while. It just kind of keeps you top of mind.
It'll be a good coffee
that you didn't forget
book
about them, too. So it could be, maybe it could be, and we'll do it for as long as I think I already got a text. It was the day it was delivered from a family friend, actually, who's not quite a client yet, but anyway, saying, look what I got, and it looks awesome.
I mean, it's unique, too. Something that I haven't heard of that before. I think it's really a good idea. I mean, it's honestly very, very unique.
Good.
Well, that really kind of wraps it up for our video.
Nice.
Just want to thank you all again for coming on. It's a really good conversation. I will put all of their social media handles on the screen so you guys can go check them out. I'll put their website down below so you can go check out their website. But other than that, this has been Workout Wednesday, and we will see you next week. Take care.